Hey YouTubers, and welcome back to another Jigsaw discussion video. Today we're going to be talking about a major character from the original 7 films, or at least the latter half of the original 7 films, that was somehow just completely forgotten about in Saw 3D, and also didn't come back in Jigsaw, even though they could have pushed her in there somewhere in order to help connect the original 7 films to the newest film in the series, and that is Pamela Jenkins. I really like Pamela's character because she kind of represented this whole if it bleeds it leads storytelling, kind of someone who would overly sensationalize the whole Jigsaw mythology, and one of the reasons she would definitely be tested in a way to make herself more profitable, more of an anchor type person for her news reporter team, and someone I always felt was just a small town reporter on a small town local news show that just so happened to stumble upon the whole Jigsaw mythology. It was happening in her town, and she was going to try to ride the coattails of that entire situation into newer, bigger, and better things. I really think if they want to have very small connections in the new sequels for these films and have them be their own story and not completely tied to the original 7 films, her character would be the best and easiest to bring back. Just because she was in Saw 6, we never saw her die, so she could potentially still be alive somewhere. And at the same time, her character, after everything she's gone through, is very sympathetic, and I kind of think if they were to bring her back sometime in the future, it's been a couple years since Saw 7, and with all this stuff becoming incredibly important again at the end of Jigsaw, John's body is completely gone from his grave, people might be fearful of this again, they bring in an expert to cover this story and then becomes part of the overall story of the series, someone like Pamela Jenkins. I think it would be great to reintroduce her character and explore it further as someone who took everything that happened to her, the death of William in Saw 6, and expressed that she took that motivation, she took that situation, and she kind of fed off of it as much as she could in order to get out of her small town reporter job and maybe even propel that into kind of a network personality where she's the anchor on some major network studio, and she starts covering this because it's somewhat personal for her and a way for her to keep milking this situation that happened to her like a decade ago or a couple years ago based on the timeline, and it becomes this new media sensation. It's not just this area of the world or whatever city we're in that knows about Jigsaw. Because of Pamela Jenkins, now the entire world realizes that Jigsaw's grave is completely empty, this body is gone, did he fake his death? And then because of Pamela Jenkins, because of her cultural clout and network television or whatever they end up doing with her character, when people start ending up in traps, they know exactly what's going on. And there's this general understanding that Jigsaw is still alive, or maybe there's some kind of ghost that's still doing this because no one knows exactly who's doing this. Maybe the cops and everyone are trying to keep the whole hollering things under wraps, or they're not exactly sure what's going on, but the general public thinks that there's some kind of ghostly activity, or maybe John faked his death or something like that, because Pamela Jenkins is kind of an attention-seeking person, and she's going to sensationalize this the same way that she always has, and her character and her importance to the future of the series is really just getting this Jigsaw is back, and everyone out there is just scared of this massive serial killer who seems 24 steps ahead of the police at any given turn, and no one knows what to do. So everyone out there is much more frightened. And at the same time, this would help us explore the whole dark web jigsawrules.com website that they mentioned in Jigsaw, because this bigger audience for Jigsaw and the mythology of Jigsaw would draw more people to that, and we can actually start exploring those issues and that plot point in future sequels. So I really like this idea. It's something I've been thinking about for a long time, and I really hope that they start bringing back people who could potentially come back in any sequel who wouldn't be really overly important to the future of the series, but it would be a nice little nod to the people who remember and the fans to be like, oh yeah, we haven't forgotten you guys. We know that you guys remember Pamela Jenkins, or you guys remember Detective Fisk, or somebody from the past films that's not going to be overly important, but just kind of a wink and a nod to us. So guys, what are your thoughts on this? What would you like them to do with Pamela's character in Jigsaw 2, or whatever they end up calling it? Do you think that they should bring her back? What other characters do you think that they should bring back in the future of this series? I know a lot of people are going to talk about Hoffman. I know a lot of people are going to talk about Dr. Gordon or any of these other people, and when I think of a way that I would love to see them come back, I will do those videos as well. But for just this video, go down to the comment section below and tell me, how do you want to see Pamela Jenkins come back if they decide to bring her back in any future sequels? I hope everyone's having a fantastic day. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell over by the subscriber button to notify you every single time I upload. I hope everyone's having a fantastic day. It's been real.